Welcome to Tijuana, tequila, sexo, marijuana. Welcome to Tijuana.
This is Tijuana, Mexico's most notorious border town. For decades, it was a magnet for American tourists seeking easy, seedy pleasures away from home. But tourists no longer feel welcome here. It wasn't long before I saw why.
Hola, ¿qué pasó aquí exactamente?
A balacera hay un muerto aquí abajo.
Un muerto. ¿Se lo sabe quién era?
No, por el momento todavía no.
No.
This man with no name was my first encounter with violent death in Mexico, and I had only just arrived. Rival drug cartels use murder and terror in their battle for control of the city, a key gateway into America.
I'm mostly shocked, actually, the fact that there are not that many people crowding around to see what's happened. Because there's just been a murder taking place here. There's loads of restaurants around here, loads of people, lights. It's not some dark alleyway. Are they just so used to murders here that they just shrug their shoulders? Or is it an indication of how violent this city really is, that people don't want to come anywhere near, they don't want to be seen on the scene?
Seguimos con miedo. ¿Quieren seguir con ese miedo? ¿Qué es lo que nos puede pasar? ¿Qué nos puede pasar? Nada. Nos matan.
This is a deeply religious country, but it's also a society gripped by fear. Executions and kidnaps are daily events in Mexico's border towns, where every parish is mourning its dead. Most crimes go unpunished, and those affected are often too scared to even talk.
Los pecados. Espero la resurrección de los muertos y la vida del mundo futuro. Amén.
Feeling abandoned by the authorities, many find strength in their faith.
¿Están dispuestos a luchar? Que viva mi Cristo, que viva mi Rey, que impere doquiera, triunfante su ley. Viva Cristo Rey, viva Cristo Rey.
There have been more than 16,000 drug killings in the last 3 years alone. Authorities say it's just a case of criminals killing criminals, and they rarely investigate the murders. But is it that simple? I went to meet a family affected by the violence. They believe this country's victims are being ignored and have chosen to speak out for them.
Hello. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm Katia. Hi.
Fernando.
Hi. Pleased to meet you, Fernando. Hi, I'm
She's my
Sandra.
wife.
Nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you.
She's
Thank
my
you for
wife.
having me in your home.
Yeah, come on.
Thank you.
Fernando Osegueda is a salesman. His wife Sandra no longer works. They have 3 children. The firstborn is called Fernando, like his father.
Do you remember that when he started school?
Yeah. It was exciting to go to school. When he wake up early the first day, he loved the school.
Did he? Really?
Yeah,
That's
he loved it.
that's unusual.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my second one, he say, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. He cry all the time. This is the last picture we have. Christmas Eve.
Age 23, Fernando was about to graduate as an engineer. There was no hint of the trouble to come. But on the 10th of February 2007, everything changed.
That day I was outside with my neighbors. The car come and stop in front of the house. It looked like police officers, you know. They have guns. Say maybe they're looking for somebody here, my neighbors or something. They start using the steps. And they open my door. They came in and I started yelling, "Why you coming to my house? You need to show me something."
As 5 men in police uniform barged into the house, 10 more stood guard by their cars. The neighbours retreated indoors.
That day was my daughter in her room and one of my son, Fernando, was in his room. They go to the rooms, say, "Wake up, stand up." Say, "But why you take him?" They never told me anything. The men pushed us, my daughter and me, and they took him, put in the car, and gone.
Sandra called me, and my surprise is, "Why, Fernando, why?" And then I said, "Well, what can I do?" I go to the police station, and I talk with the officer, say, "Somebody take my son, and I need to know if my son is here." And then, "What is the name?" Blah, blah, blah. "Fernando Segueda Ruelas." "No, it's not here."
Fernando realised the men in uniform had been criminals in disguise. But the real police were not exactly helpful. Fernando drove to 6 different police stations in Tijuana before he was allowed to file a missing persons report.
I go to the Central Camionera, and Central Camionera tell me, "No, this is not a pen to here. You need to go to the Zona Rio." I go to Zona Rio and say, "No, you go to Florido." Florido, "No, you go to the playas de Tijuana." My son disappeared completely, and they don't want to know nothing.
Fernando headed home, hoping the people who'd taken his son would get in touch.
The police officer said, "Maybe this is a kidnap. You need to wait for the call." For now, we're still waiting for the call. No call. Nobody calls.
Nobody called.
To get to the source of the suffering of so many Mexicans like Fernando and Sandra, I needed to travel through Mexico's mountainous interior. Criminal organizations have thrived here for decades, smuggling narcotics north into the United States. The cost to the Mexican people, though, has never been this high. The public brutality of the killings has terrorized whole communities. And hundreds of people like Fernando and Sandra's son have simply disappeared. I traveled 900 miles south of Tijuana to a rarely visited part of the country, the state of Sinaloa. It's here that Mexico's drug trade was born, on the lush tropical mountains of the Sierra Madre.
Well, it's dusty, but it's also dangerous. There is no way we'd be able to travel through this country in or outside a car without coming with the army.
This is the realm of the powerful Sinaloa drug cartel. Ambushes are not uncommon. Mexico is one of the biggest producers of marijuana in the world, and it's here that most of it is grown. The Mexican army took me on the marijuana trail.
I'd like to say we can smell our way, but it's not quite true. I think we have about half an hour of this. At least I got rid of the heavy flak jacket. The army says we're in safe hands now. They say they've secured the area.
The soldiers had recently discovered 5 hectares of cannabis plantations. To reach the fields meant a long and humid trek.
We can smell it. Now I can smell it. Just imagine what it's going to be like when they start burning it.
The Mexican army says it burned hundreds of tons of marijuana last year. Yet more than 60% of the drug cartel's annual revenue, or an estimated $8 billion, is thought to come from sales of marijuana to the United States.
You're eradicating, but there's still so many drugs being grown here in Mexico.
En muchos de los casos, pues no alcanzamos a destruir todas las drogas. Y no a todos los rincones y a todos los puntos, con los efectivos que tenemos, podemos llegar. Hacemos nuestro mejor esfuerzo, erradicamos un gran número de plantíos, un gran número de hectáreas, pero faltan algunas que no alcanzamos a erradicar y son las que cosechan y son las que llegan a los consumidores.
The man who profits from this vast illegal trade here in Sinaloa is the most wanted man in Mexico, Joaquin Guzman Loera, better known as El Chapo. The illiterate son of marijuana growers, Chapo Guzman is believed to be hiding in these mountains, where he was born.
Chapo Guzman was born in a community that has always made a living from the drug trade. You need to understand this to understand why Chapo would enter this business when he was a child. This is a region where most people don't actually look down on the drug trade, but rather see it as a way to make a living, to survive.
But the drug business in Mexico is now a massive criminal enterprise. It includes the trafficking of 90% of all the Colombian cocaine consumed in the United States. Profits are estimated at $15 billion a year. Rival drug cartels are fighting to control the lucrative border routes into the United States. One cartel is coming out on top. It's now one of the most powerful and violent drug trafficking organizations in the world. The Sinaloa cartel of Chapo Guzman. Chapo and his men are blamed for much of the bloodshed in Mexico.
To get rid of the drug trade in Mexico, you need to get rid of the bosses, right? And you've got the big boss, Chapo Guzman, who comes from here.
Yo le digo lo que yo considero, ¿sí? Y el avance que tenemos constantemente y el trabajo que hacemos con constancia, esfuerzo y determinación.
¿Y Chapo Guzmán dónde está?
No lo sé.
¿Usted tuvo la experiencia de estar cerca de él o con llamadas que puede ser en...
Nunca. Y no sabemos exactamente dónde se encuentra.
Do you think he is here?
No lo sé.
Do you think you'll find him? You really find him? ¿Lo encontrará?
Estimo que sí.
Sí. Bueno, mucho gusto. Gracias,
mucho
general.
gusto. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Joaquín lo era, lo es y será. Prófugo de la justicia, el señor de la montaña, también que ve en la ciudad.
At a nightclub in Sinaloa's capital, Culiacán, Chapo Guzman is celebrated in song.